Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mondays with Mason. It's on a Tuesday. I decided to move it to Tuesday because, obviously, like I had mentioned, the episode for today will be talking about the NFL trade deadline. So, yeah, definitely interesting times for sure in the NFL. It is a shame that the trade deadline's so early. I don't like it at all. I just got done with my NFL Week 8 recap video. I highly recommend you watch that video if you haven't already. I just had mentioned in there, I don't think the season truly starts until Thanksgiving Day because there's a lot of stuff that means nothing. But like a team last year, like Tennessee, they were 7-3 going into Thanksgiving. They missed the playoffs with a 7-10 record. Same thing with the Jaguars. They were like 3-7 going into Thanksgiving last year. Came back, finished 9-8, won the AFC South, and even won a home playoff game. So yeah. Even like there's teams like Denver right now who are not looking good at 3-5. People are still labeling them as sellers. Denver could be a possible playoff team. You never know. Sean Payne's leadership could get them back there or at least get them in the hunt. New England, they may be 2-6, but you never know. They have an easy schedule coming up. Commanders, Colts, and at the Giants. Bill Belichick could possibly get them back in the playoff hunt. Point being is this trade deadline is way too early. They need to do it a month from now when it's truly cards time and you know where your team's going and you'd probably know more likely where you're going to pick in the draft. So in terms of that, we won't really know much more until at least December 1st. So yeah, I mean, trade deadline's too early. Sorry about that. Just had to sneeze there a little bit. So yeah. Happy Halloween to everybody, by the way. Sorry I didn't say that to open up, but happy Halloween. Anyway, though, let's get into just some teams first. I'm going to go through what each team should do. Buy, sell, or stay pat. And I'm actually going to write this down while I do it because I want to talk about the teams that the sellers should be possibly dealing away to competitive teams. So, yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. Got the pen out. Getting ready to write some. It's just it's going to help me on the video, so I'm sorry about that if it's a distraction. All right, we're going to start with the AFC East now. Buffalo Bills, that's an obvious one. I'm going to put them in the buyer category because I think they are a good football team. Their record's good. However, they need a lot of help the way things have gone. Obviously, they brought in Leonard Fournette yesterday. That was huge for them, so yeah, hopefully he could do some big things for Buffalo. Miami Dolphins, this is another obvious one. They need to buy. They have, I think mostly everybody except the Browns this year has at least one first-round draft pick. Some teams may have more than one. I'm almost certain that every team except the Browns has at least one first-round pick this year. So that's huge for sure, but Miami is one of those teams. I would definitely make a move, possibly trade your first-round pick away because it's going to be very low. Or it's going to be like in the high 20s, possibly even the 30s. This team can make a Super Bowl run. Make the most out of it while you have it. Your rebuilding days are over. So, yeah. New England, I think this is a pretty obvious one. They should sell. See what they could get for anybody out there that's good and talented. So, yeah. I'm also going to type them into my computer so I can pull up their roster at the end and we could talk about who they may sell and where those players should go. Oh, Carolina. Oh, my gosh, I'm an idiot. Carolina. Carolina does not have a first-round pick. So it looks like right now just Carolina and just the Browns don't have first-round picks. But anyway, New England's a seller. I think the Jets, the next team we're going to talk about, the Jets, they're definitely a buyer. I think the Jets should buy. That's for sure. Moving on now to the AFC North. I'm sorry I'm going quick, too. I just have a lot of stuff to do for school and other stuff today, so I have to get this video done here pretty quickly. That's for sure, but I'm still going to take time and talk about this all because it is very important to talk about. That's for sure. But yeah, anyway, AFC North. Now, Baltimore Ravens. It's an obvious. They should buy. I would put all the NFC North teams in the buy category. Just for time reasons, we're going to speed that up and just say every AFC North team's in the buy category. They're all above 500, and so yeah. South Division now, Houston Texans. I think the Texans are the first team I'm going to put in the stay pat category because I truly think they should stay put. They have a lot going for them. They're still young. I wouldn't trade away draft picks just yet. They're not ready to compete. They still need a couple more young prospects to do that. So I'd put them in the stay put category. Indianapolis Colts, this isn't obvious. I think they definitely should sell. This season's pretty much over. You need to build your young roster and make progress in building that in your rebuild. St. Steichen's doing good. Try to get 2 or 3 more wins this year, and that'll be progress, that's for sure. And it'll set the standard high for 2024. So I think selling's the best thing for the Colts this deadline. Jacksonville Jaguars, this is an easy one. They definitely need to buy. That's for sure. So put Jacksonville in the buyers category. They need to get some more wideouts. That's for sure. Tennessee Titans, I think they should sell. I mean, this team, they need to find out what they have in Will Levis and the young talent. So obviously Derrick Henry's not going anywhere, but I think it might be in his best interest for him to go there. So yeah, and maybe Hopkins as well. So yeah, I'd sell if I were Titans. AFC West now, Kansas City Chiefs, this is easy. They need to be a buyer for sure. Los Angeles Chargers, this one's going to surprise you a lot, but I would put them in the sellers category because they're not going anywhere this year, it looks like. They're 3-4. They need a lot of changes to make themselves a competitive team. I like Brandon Staley a lot, but I think it's time that he probably goes somewhere else and does his thing somewhere else. So yeah, definitely interesting, that's for sure. I'd put the Chargers in the sellers category. Las Vegas Raiders, this is easy. They're a seller, that's for sure. They need to sell. They need to rebuild. Again. This is going to be a surprising one, but as I mentioned, I don't think their season's over quite yet. But so I would put the Denver Broncos in the stay pat category. The Broncos, I would stay pat if I were George Patton and Sean Payton. I wouldn't deal anybody. It looks like that's what they're going to do. Stay pat, and I think that's what they're going to do. So, yeah. Anyway, though, let me take a drink. If I were... This is what I would do or recommend to all the AFC teams. The buyers, I would put in that category Buffalo, Miami, New York Jets, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville Jaguars, and Kansas City Chiefs. Your sellers are the New England Patriots, the Indianapolis Colts, the Tennessee Titans, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Staying pat, we have the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos. Let me just get those couple teams up here, so that when I talk about that, they're already up for me. Sorry about it. Looks like if you probably heard the noise in the background, there's a fire truck out there. Something must have caught on fire. It's not here. It's not here, so don't worry about it. But sometimes we definitely hear those in the background here. But yeah, there must have been a fire somewhere else. So prayers up to whoever's impacted by that fire. If you hear those fire trucks in the background. Fear not, everything's okay here, but hopefully whoever's impacted, that everything. That might be police. Oh my, that might actually be a police car, to be honest with you. Whatever it is, just hopefully it's okay. As I load these teams. Alrighty, I'm sorry about that. I have all the teams uploaded now that I needed to get up. So yeah, we're going to move on to the NFC now. Buyers and sellers in the NFC. We're going to start off with the East. Dallas Cowboys, this isn't obvious. They're a buyer. Definitely 100%. They need to buy because they have a run, and this is probably one of their best chances to come close to the NFC Championship or even the Super Bowl. New York Giants, this isn't obvious. They're a seller, that's for sure, without a doubt. Philadelphia Eagles, buyer. Not much needed to talk about that one, but they need to buy. So, yeah. And last but not least, the Washington Commanders. Obviously, they're a seller, and they're going nowhere this year. So, put them in the sellers category. Let me just type in the Giants, and let me just type in the Commanders. So, I have their rosters ready to see who they could possibly sell or trade for stuff. I think a rebuild would be wise for the Commanders because I think they could truly make the most out of it, just like Philly has done there. On to the NFC North now while we let those teams load on my computer. Detroit Lions, this isn't obvious. They're a buyer this year because this is like their best chance to go deep for a while. So, yeah, hopefully the Lions buy this deadline. Green Bay Packers, easy one. Seller, that's for sure. I mean, I think they should sell because their season's pretty much over. This is not a good team, and they need help. Chicago Bears, another one. Seller, that's for sure. Season didn't go as planned in the Windy City, so I think they're going to sell. And for the Minnesota Vikings, I think they're going to stay pat. I think they need to stay pat. I definitely think this team is good as is. They shouldn't buy. They shouldn't sell. I think the Vikings really need to consider doing nothing today. So, yeah. By the way, too, Leonard Williams was traded from the Giants to the Seahawks yesterday for a draft pick. I think it was 4th round, maybe. So, yeah, that was the one deal already done so far this deadline season. NFC South now. This will be interesting. Atlanta Falcons. I like what they're doing. I like what they're building. So, I'm going to keep them in the stay pat category just because I want to see them trade up a draft pick for somebody that might just help them this year. So, I like what they're doing. Stay put. New Orleans Saints. I would consider them a buyer because they have to catch Atlanta now, and it's not like the team's young. It's not like the team needs more young talent to come up and finish it off. So, yeah, I mean, maybe trying a draft pick is wise for Mickey Loomis and the Saints to possibly go all in and get a South Division title this year in a home playoff game. So, give me New Orleans. Carolina, this is easy. They're a seller. They need to get some draft capital, and they need to get in now. So, I think Carolina's a seller, that's for sure. In terms of the other situation, in Tampa Buccaneers, I think they should sell, personally. I mean, it was a good run, but they just don't have it this year, I think, to make a playoff run. So I would consider them a seller this year at the deadline. NFC West now, I would consider there's a couple teams here for sure. 49ers and Seahawks both, they're definitely buyers, so I would consider them buyers. They're very good football teams, and hopefully they both do good things at the deadline and acquire some talent. That's for sure. LA Rams and Cardinals, these are two obvious ones. They're definitely sellers, so put LA and Arizona in the sellers category. So therefore, for the NFC, we have the following. The NFC, we have the following. Buyers are Dallas, Philly, Detroit, New Orleans, San Francisco, and Seattle. Sellers are the Giants, the Commanders, the Packers, the Bears, the Panthers, the Buccaneers, the Rams, and the Cardinals. And staying put, we have Minnesota and Atlanta. So, not too surprising. All right, let's go through some of these sellers, and we're going to see players that could make sense possibly being dealt at the deadline today, and which buyer they would best go with. So we're going to make some deals. It's time for the Let's Make It Deal segment part of Mondays with Mason here. So, yeah, definitely interesting times for sure in the NFL. Shouldn't be doing this today, though. Should be doing it in 2 weeks, maybe even 3. So is everybody, while I'm doing this here, I'm just going to pose the question to you all. I know there's probably going to be more yeses for sure than there are nos, but who all is excited here for the stretch run here coming up? I mean, I know November 1st is a kind of more big day in the NFL just because of, sorry, I'm not looking at the camera while I type, but it's kind of more so a big day in the NFL just because of, like, you know, the fact that the deadline has passed now and we're in the nitty-gritty. We're coming down to December, which is definitely an interesting month for playoff positioning and all that. So, yeah, I mean, I know people are starting to get excited. After Thanksgiving, it's going to be the best. The recap shows on Tuesdays are going to be amazing, to say the least. So keep tuning in, please. The best for this channel is yet to come. I'm telling you that right now. So, yeah, that's for sure. Alrighty. So we're going to look at these sellers now. as I pull this up. I'm sorry it's taking so long. It shouldn't be. This is my bad. First off, we're going to go to Spot Track. It's a beautiful website. I love this website. And it helps me because it shows all the free agents for this coming year. We're going to see the teams, the seller teams, who their notable free agents are first. And those are the big ones that are going to probably, you're going to want to trade away. That's for sure. For the Viking, or not the Vikings, I'm sorry. I had them in the Stay Pat category. That's why I was confused. For the Patriots, I think good trade targets here to trade away for New England would definitely be Hunter Henry. So I write this down. So we're going to make some deals once I get these names. Dylan Mills. Looks like Kyle Duggar's a free agent. I doubt he goes anywhere because I think Belichick likes him, and I think Belichick's going to want to lock him up. And I think that's smart. I don't blame Belichick. Definitely Ezekiel Elliott would be a great trade piece for sure for the Patriots. Sorry. Kenny Moore, cornerback for the Colts. Definitely think he could be a trade piece. Michael Pittman Jr., that's for sure. And you're probably shocked. Why are you saying Michael Pittman Jr.? He is a free agent this year. That's why I say Michael Pittman Jr. You could possibly trade him and get a great high draft pick for him. That's for sure. So I'd definitely recommend that if I were the Colts. Titans, obviously, Ryan Tannehill would be a great trade piece because he'll be coming back from injury. Or they found their quarterback in Will Levis, and it seems like he's still hurt. They're not trading away Derrick Henry, it appears. And I think they should. Aziz Al-Sahir with the 49ers. I think a trade back home to San Fran would be awesome for him. Kristen Fulton. Definitely could get something for him. We'll make some deals in like a couple minutes once we get all these names. LA Chargers. This would be an interesting one if it does happen. I doubt it happens though. But Austin Eckler, obviously, he's unhappy with his contract. He's probably going to want to go elsewhere, so we'll see about that. Tight end Gerald Everett. For sure. Vegas. On to Vegas. Josh Jacobs. I think they should probably consider moving him for sure. Get a lot for him now. These are just for the teams I consider sellers, notable pieces they might have. Saquon ain't going anywhere. Paris Campbell, possibly for the Giants. Curtis Samuel, this would be a really good one for the Commanders to shop. Montez Sweat. There's a lot of talented free agents this year. Not going to lie, today can be a very busy day around the NFL. Darnell Savage for the Packers. Chicago. Let's go to Chicago, see what they have for sale. Yannick Ngakoue. That'd be a great one. That's really all they have. There's a lot of their contracts they handed out this offseason were long-term. CJ Henderson, Carolina. Could possibly deal him. Brian Burns, that would be a good one to deal if you're Carolina. I doubt that happens, but if you can't re-sign him, why not? Jeremy Chin, that would be another big name you could deal. Defense has not performed the way it's supposed to, so possibly trading those two for young draft capital would be good. Tampa Bay, this would be good. These are some big ones. Mike Evans. Tampa really can sell and make a lot of draft capital this year and go and get their franchise quarterback. Devin White. We're on to 2 Post-its now, possibly even more. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of big names. A lot. Lavonte David. And Antoine Winfield Jr. So I'm going to stop with Tampa because they can really sell. They can really sell today and make the most out of this deadline. So it could be a big day in Tampa, Florida. Rams. Doesn't look like they have a whole lot. I'm going to move them to the stay pat category because it doesn't look like they have a whole lot to sell. Cardinals. Marquise Brown. That would be a big one for sure. Marquise Hollywood Brown. I'm not going to put Budda Baker on this list because it's a club option. And I think they want to keep him. And I don't blame them. That's where I'm going to stop with the Cardinals. So, yeah, we have a lot of players here to discuss. So, this is where we're going to start here. Definitely interesting for sure. So, yeah, we're going to just type out some good fits for these players and why. Hunter Henry, I definitely think Miami would be a good fit. I don't think they'll trade in the division, though. Cincinnati would be a great fit. That would be a great trade to make. Hunter Henry to the Bengals. That would be a great move, I think. Write that down as one. Ezekiel Elliott, I definitely think a team could use Ezekiel Elliott for sure. I think a great fit for Zeke could possibly be in Jacksonville as a backup to Travis Etienne. I think he could possibly go there, make some noise, share touches with Tank Bigsby as the backup too. And it would definitely be a big thing for them to get Jacksonville to show that they are ready to contend. Another big name, we're not going to go for all these, but Michael Pittman Jr. I definitely think that it looks like I'm reading this list. The Browns need another receiver, that's for sure. The Chiefs, I think the Browns or the Chiefs would be a big one here for sure. I'm going to put the Chiefs here because I definitely think that would be a noisemaker, and I think that would be great for them. So I think Michael Pittman Jr. would be great with the Chiefs. Ryan Tannehill, I think a great fit for Tannehill could possibly be none of these teams, it looks like on this list, are QB needy except the Jets. So possibly Ryan Tannehill to the Jets. That would be a good one just to have that extra insurance there for New York. So Tannehill to the Jets would make sense. Azeez Al-Shaair should be going back home to San Francisco. Nobody really... Austin Eckler is talented, but none of these teams on my buyer list are running back needy. Really. I mean, Philly has DeAndre Swift, so I don't see Philly making a trade to go out and get him. Possibly Baltimore. I think that would be a big splash for Baltimore. Sorry, I just scratched my face. Austin Eckler to the Ravens. That would be a big deal, that's for sure. That wouldn't be good for Pittsburgh, though. Same thing. Josh Jacobs to the Ravens. That would be a big splash. Curtis Samuel, this would be a good name for sure for a team like the Browns. Name for the Browns to go and get. Ohio State kid, so yeah. Brian Burns, for sure, definitely a big name defender. I think Philly would be a great fit for him. He'd do well in Philly, so I think Philly should go and possibly consider that. Jeremy Chin, another one. I think, obviously, they were considering drafting Chin over Jalen Hurts. I think Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin to Philly would be an amazing all-star package deal for Philly if they could get that. Mike Evans, this is another big one. You know, there's a lot of receiver-needy teams right now. Detroit has not gotten as much out of Jameson Williams as they probably would have liked. So Detroit, Mike Evans to Detroit would be a good move. Devin White, linebacker. I mean, I think a good place for him to go could possibly be the Miami Dolphins. Definitely would be a playmaker in that Miami defense, that's for sure. Possibly help them out some. They have that offense. Now let's fix the defense. Vic Fangio would love him. So Devin White there. Marquise Brown's the one other one, and I think a perfect place for Marquise Brown would also be the Miami Dolphins. So, recapping some of these deals that I think would be great for the teams. Hunter Henry to Cincinnati. I mean, I think Hunter Henry to the Bengals for a third-round pick would be a great deal. That's for sure. Ezekiel Elliott to Jacksonville for a sixth-round pick would be a great deal. Michael Pittman Jr. for a second and a fifth-round pick. The Chiefs are giving up the second and fifth-round pick. The Chiefs are getting Pittman Jr. That would be an amazing deal if that happens. Tannehill for a fifth to the Jets. That would be a great deal for the Jets if they could get that deal done, or a sixth. Azeez Al-Shakir for a fourth to the Niners would be great for both teams. Austin Eckler to the Ravens for a first and a second in this year's draft would be great for both teams as well. Same with Josh Jacobs. Jacobs to the Ravens for a first and a second in this year's draft. That would be a great thing for Baltimore, and it could possibly put them over the top this year if one of those deals to get done. Curtis Samuel for a second or a third to the Browns. That would be a good deal for both the Browns and the Commanders. Brian Burns and Jeremy Chinn. That should be a package deal. Burns and Chinn to the Eagles for their next 2 first-round picks, a second in this year's draft, and possibly a guy like a Nakobe Dean. That would be a great deal for Philly if they could get that done. Deal those free draft picks, deal Dean, and possibly deal like a 6th-rounder in this year's draft or next year's draft. That would be huge if Philly could get Burns and Chinn both and possibly go on a big run there. I would love that trade if Howie Roseman could get that done. Mike Evans to Detroit for a second. That would be awesome. They have plenty of draft capital from the Hawkinson trade, so I think Detroit should go out and try to get Mike Evans. Devin White for a third or a fourth to the Dolphins would be great. Same thing with Marquise Brown for another third or fourth round pick. That would be great as well. So if these deals can get done, obviously my favorite, the big splash of the day, would be the Brian Burns, Jeremy Chinn trade to the Eagles. I doubt that gets done, but it could for sure. Or the Eckler-Jacobs trade to the Ravens. I hope that doesn't happen because I am a Steeler fan, obviously, and I don't want to see Baltimore do good, unfortunately. So that would be a big deal, though, if one of those two gets traded to Baltimore. And the Pittman trade, second and a fifth-round pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. That would be huge as well. It would be good for them as well. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Keep posted on the trade deadline. Enjoy yourselves on this trade deadline Tuesday. Happy Halloween. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. Pray for Israel. And as always, peace. See you guys next week for Mondays with Mason.